Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're wading into a topic that I think almost everyone has faced or is facing or probably will face at some point.
Mm,
It's that slow, creeping realization that the job you have right now just isn't serving you anymore. And
right.
we're not talking about that big, blow up of the desk, dramatic quitting moment. It's something way more insidious. It's the slow erosion of your daily enthusiasm.
Exactly. And our source material for this deep dive, especially from Ford Coleman, it really hits on this idea so well. People don't just wake up one day and hate their jobs.
Uh,
They drift away. It's this subtle disengagement that just happens over time. And, the stress becomes real, the magic is gone. And I think the most worrying part is that the future just looks boring. It's just an unsustainable misalignment.
And I love the comparison they use. They suggest treating your job almost like a relationship.
Yeah.
And when that relationship is truly over, your heart knows it first. It knows long before your mind gets around to calculating the logistics of the breakup.
That's it. And that's really our mission for you today. We're going to analyze those red flags you might be ignoring, those quiet signals your heart is sending you.
Right.
So we can really distill the psychological costs and, maybe most importantly, give you some actionable strategic steps for making a change without, risking everything.
We've got a fantastic stack of material here. It's all centered around these 9 core signs of misalignment. But it's also supplemented with some really critical advice on navigating things like toxic culture, the value of a career break, and how to plan a dignified, calculated exit.
Yeah, we want to arm you with the data you need to turn that vague unhappiness into some concrete action.
Okay, let's unpack this then, starting with those immediate visceral signs that something is really wrong. They say the body keeps the score.
Hmm.
And our sources suggest your physical reaction to Monday morning is probably the first piece of evidence you should trust.
It absolutely is. I mean, Ford Coleman's list of 9 dead giveaways that your job is draining you is just so relatable because it focuses on the physical and emotional toll, not just, the workload.
Yeah.
And the very first one is universal. Mondays feel like torture.
Oh, yeah.
This isn't just the Sunday blues. We're talking hitting snooze until the absolute last possible second, feeling actual physical dread, and needing coffee just to process the coffee you already had.
I saw a great comment from Dharma Ramasamy that just captured that perfectly. She said, "It's like my coffee knows I'm in a toxic relationship with Mondays."
Oh, that's it.
That immediate gut-wrenching dread, that tension you feel in your shoulders, that is your body's first non-negotiable alarm bell. It's screaming, this environment is actively harming us.
And that harm manifests so quickly, which
Yeah.
leads us to one of the most serious signs on the list, number 5. Your health is talking. People often assume they're just stressed because of a tough project, but if your sleep isn't restorative, if stress headaches are your new normal, or if you just feel run down all the time, the job isn't just demanding, it's eroding your very foundation.
It's a debt.
It is. It's a physiological confirmation that you're demanding something your body will eventually call in.
So if the body is hurting, the mind is already, it's checked out. Which I think moves us neatly into the stagnation and silence signals. Like if your brain is just on cruise control and you can basically do the job in your sleep, that's sign number 2. Nothing new under the sun. There's just no joy.
And the problem with perpetual cruise control is that it leads you directly to sign number 6.
Which is,
Tomorrow looks like today. If the very thought of doing this exact same thing forever gives you chills, and your 5-year plan is just a blank, terrifying page,
yeah,
you aren't just bored. You are strategically stuck.
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, that absence of growth is what really causes that long-term career drift.
And then there's the energy cost. Sign number 7 is that you've gone silent.
Oh, this one is huge.
Yeah. Your good ideas, they just stay locked in your head. Maybe because they were shot down before, or maybe you're too tired to care when it feels like nobody else does.
That silence is so tragic because it's the quiet death of your professional contribution. You're spending all this energy just to suppress your real thoughts, and that leads right to sign number 8. The fire's out.
Right. The I'll crush it attitude is gone.
It's gone. It's turned into whatever works. You're running on fumes, fake smiles.
Yeah.
You're performing instead of producing.
And I guess the ultimate synthesis of all this, all the emotional and physical wear and tear, is sign 9. Your gut won't shut up. That little voice whispering, or maybe yelling, quit, is just getting louder and louder because deep down, this isn't the end game.
And that whole emotional audit is so brutal, but it's necessary because, as Dora Van Norik noted, staying in a job that drains you is not brave, it's holding you back.
That is such a critical shift in perspective, realizing that self-preservation is actually a form of professional strength.
That's absolutely right. And this brings us to a really critical misunderstanding. Often people stay because the job is, objectively good on paper.
Great title, good pay.
Exactly. Great benefits, excellent pay. But the sources show us that the real battle is rarely just about the salary.
So we need to move the conversation beyond the transactional part, beyond the paycheck, and talk about those hidden costs. I mean, why would someone walk away from a high-paying role?
Because the cost to their well-being is just too high. John Dowdy made a great point that many people leave very good jobs not because of pay, but because the toxic workplace culture has placed more of a burden on their well-being than it's worth.
And toxic burden. That's not just about a yelling boss.
Right, not at all. It's about constant anxiety or forced positivity or just a lack of psychological safety that makes it impossible to show up as your authentic self.
And that struggle with authenticity. That takes us straight into what Michael Hubley calls the identity trap. He notes that the big career question used to be, what do you want to be? And then it sort of evolved into, what problem do you want to solve?
And Hubley argues that both of those are actually problematic
How so?
because they encourage you to tie your entire self-worth, your whole identity, to a title or some measurable output. And if your happiness depends only on that external thing, you will always be chasing the next title or the next problem to solve.
So how do we break that cycle then?
Well, Hubley encourages people to stop asking what problem they want to solve and instead to ask yourself if you can be happy in the environment you are walking into.
Wow, that's a profound shift.
It is. It means you prioritize the culture, the values, the environment over the specific task. And that's what sustains you in the long run.
And that focus on environment over title, that helps explain this phenomenon Vanessa Camello describes, silent career grief. This is that quiet ache of realizing the version of you who built this career, the you from 5 years ago who applied for this job, isn't the same person showing up to live it anymore. You've outgrown the role.
And it is so crucial to frame this as evolution, not failure. Camello cited research showing that 27% of professionals are actively planning an exit strategy for this exact reason.
Because their identity has shifted.
Yes, faster than their job, or at least faster than how others see them. They're not struggling to keep up. They're trying to realign toward a better fit for who they have become.
That's a powerful way to think about it. You're not stuck. You're just between versions of yourself.
Right.
So, okay, once you realize you need to move, how do you go from that signal, that gut feeling, to thoughtful, strategic action? How do you avoid the panic leap? Diamond Morgan asks if your job makes you feel bigger or smaller. And if the answer is smaller, you need a very methodical exit plan.
And the sources are completely unanimous on this. Strategic planning is crucial for your dignity and for your safety. Buwaneka Goddard makes it really clear. The safest, most stable approach is to secure the next opportunity first.
Which is hard to do.
It is. It requires so much discipline to job search while you're already exhausted, but jumping without a plan is just too risky. You never want to be negotiating your next role from a place of desperation.
So the goal is a calculated decision, not some financial gamble. Goddard suggests building the runway before the takeoff.
Exactly. Whether that's growing a side hustle or a small business to provide a little income or stability, you just need a buffer that gives you leverage.
Right.
And Diamond Morgan gives us 5 extremely practical exit steps you can start doing right away to get that leverage back. The first one is the quiet audit.
Okay, what's that?
It means moving your abstract feelings of misery into quantifiable evidence. You write down 3 specific examples of how the job is actively undermining you. Is it gaslighting? Is it eroding your personal values? Just naming the pattern brings incredible clarity.
That's a genius piece of advice. Because when you're miserable at work, you start to feel like the problem is you.
Precisely. The quiet audit externalizes the problem.
So what's step 2?
Step 2 is critical for stability. Build a small buffer. And this isn't a golden parachute. You don't need 6 months of savings. It's a safety cushion that offers immediate psychological relief.
Like what?
Maybe it's securing one paid micro gig or reaching an emergency fund goal of just 1 month's salary. It just reduces that panic impulse.
Okay, I like that. The third step is about future-proofing. Collect the evidence.
Yes, you have to save your wins, your metrics, your project lists. This is so vital for your future interviews and negotiations because, as the source says, proof beats emotion. If you wait until after you quit, You've lost all your best negotiating tools.
That's smart. Okay, so number 4 is test the water.
Right. And this step is all about mitigating the fear of the unknown. Take some low-risk actions, a short networking call, updating your resume, bidding for a small freelance project.
So small steps.
Tiny steps. Opportunities come from experiments, not from just passively waiting. Testing the water reduces the emotional weight of a full-blown job hunt.
And finally, step 5, exit with dignity.
Yes. No scorched earth policy, no long, angry exit interview. You use a clear, calm, brief script. I'm grateful for the experience, but I've accepted an opportunity to pursue X. That professional grace is so important because walking away isn't being dramatic. It's strategic. It's self-preservation. You never want to burn a bridge you might need later.
Right, and sometimes the ultimate strategic action isn't even jumping into the next job. Sometimes the best investment is a break.
It absolutely is. Soraya Faradilla, after 2 decades of nonstop work, took an extended pause and realized it was an act of wisdom. She said it was the most productive investment in her future clarity she ever made.
That completely reframes the dreaded gap on a resume, doesn't it? It's not a failure or unemployment, it's an intentional investment.
Yes, because that deliberate pause forces you to define your non-negotiables, the environment, the leadership, the values you want to align with. Instead of just focusing on the daily grind, it gives you the space to ask, what do I actually want?
And for anyone who is terrified of that blank space, stepping off the career treadmill, Radavias offers this brilliant piece of reverse psychology.
Oh, I love this list.
It's the 12 brutal reasons to never take a career break.
And it just highlights all the benefits disguised as risks.
That list is fantastic. It uses a little bit of humor to make a really deep point. The first brutal reason, you risk discovering what genuine rest feels like and becoming, quote, permanently addicted to having energy.
You also risk realizing your job isn't your entire identity, which might be, a little inconvenient if you've tied all your self-worth to that title.
Exactly, and you risk gaining perspective on what truly matters, which might force you to start saying no to meaningless meetings.
It forces you to access clarity about your actual goals, meaning you might start living intentionally, which sounds, terrifyingly productive for someone who's perpetually busy.
So, whether the exit is planned or it's sudden, we have to acknowledge the emotional processing that's required. Jaylana Strickland reminds us that these career transitions they're deeply human.
It's so true. Even when you're leaving a truly toxic or suffocating job, there can be grief. Grief for the time, the energy, the pieces of yourself you invested. You have to process that loss.
Yeah.
And Strickland says it so clearly. Your mental health matters more than your resume. Walking away, even with that grief, is ultimately self-preservation.
And what if the transition is sudden? A job loss from restructuring or something out of your control.
Arun Devadiga advises treating it as an unplanned pause, a chance to realign, reset, and rise stronger.
So it's about framing.
It's all about framing. Professional maturity here means you acknowledge the change with grace and control. You craft your own narrative. You use a calm script like, my last role ended due to restructuring. I'm now actively exploring opportunities that align with my skills and long-term values. You're starting from a place of competence, not victimhood.
That's a really powerful distinction.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we pull all of this analysis together, the emotional signals, the toxic traps, the strategic planning, we land on a pretty fundamental choice, a clear fork in the road.
That's right. Gary Vaynerchuk offered 2 very stark paths. Path 1, you take the action of sucking it the f up and get your joy elsewhere.
Meaning
Meaning you deal with the job for now, but you aggressively maximize happiness, fulfillment, and maybe a side hustle outside of work. Or, path 2, you gather the courage to strategically chase a dream and get out entirely.
he's basically dismissing the middle ground, right? The dwelling, the complaining, without any action. He sees that as totally unproductive.
Completely. The key, he emphasizes, is always action, my friends.
So the takeaway isn't that you absolutely must quit tomorrow.
No, not at all. The takeaway is that you must stop shrinking to fit a role that no longer fits you. The moment you choose to stop doing that, you gain immediate control over your own narrative and your well-being.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Quitting isn't giving up. It's leveling up to better things. Because life is fundamentally too short to stay where you've stopped growing.
That is the core message. You become the author of your next chapter.
We've discussed so many signs that you might be shrinking to fit a job. So consider this final thought, building on that great advice from Diamond Morgan. If your current paycheck costs you your peace, How quickly will that piece be worth more than the money? And what practical, strategic step, that quiet audit, that small buffer, that one networking call, can you commit to taking this week to start building that bridge to the next better thing?